Third adventure, how Siegfried came to Worms. Seldom in sooth, if ever, the hero's heart was sad. He heard them tell the story, how that a winsome maid there lived afar in Burgundy, surpassing fair to see. Great joy she brought him later, but eke she brought him misery. Of her exceeding beauty the fame spread far and near, and of the thing, moreover, were knights ofttimes aware, how the maid's high spirit no mortal could command. The thing lured many a stranger far from unto King Gunther's land. Although to win her favour were many wooers bent, in her own heart would never Kriemhild thereto consent, that any one amongst them for lover she would have. Still to her was he a stranger, to whom anon her troth she gave. To true love turned his fancy, the son of Siegelind, 'gainst his, all others wooing, was like an idle wind. Full well did he merit a lady fair to woo, and soon the noble Kriemhild to Siegfried bold was wedded true. By friends he oft was counselled, and many a faithful man, since to think of wooing in earnest he began, that he a wife should find him, of fitting high degree. Then spoke the noble Siegfried, in sooth fair Kriemhild shall it be, the noble royal maiden in Burgundy that dwells, for sake of all her beauty. Of her the story tells, ne'er monarch was so mighty, that, if for spouse he sighed, 'twere not for him befitting to take the princess for his bride. Unto King Siegmund also the thing was soon made known. His people talked about it, whereby to him was shown the prince's fixed purpose. It grieved him sorely, too, that his son intent was the full stately maid to woo. Siegelind asked and learned it, the noble monarch's wife. For her loved son she sorrowed, lest he should lose his life, for well she knew the humour of Gunther and his men. Then gan they from the wooing strive to turn the noble thane. Then said the doughty Siegfried, O father dear to me, without the love of woman would I ever be. Could I not woo in freedom where'er my heart is set, whate'er be said by any, I'll keep the selfsame purpose yet. Since thou wilt not give over, the king in answer said, am I of this thy purpose inwardly full glad, and straightway to fulfil it I'll help as best I can. Yet in King Gunther's service is many a haughty-minded man. And were there yet none other than Hagen, warrior knight, he with such haughty bearing is wont to show his might, that I do fear right sorely that sad our end may be, if we set out with purpose to win the stately maid for thee. Shall we by that be hindered? Outspake Siegfried then. Whate'er in friendly fashion I cannot obtain, I'll yet in another manner take that with sword in hand. I trow them from them I'll further wrest both their vassals and their land. I grieve to hear thy purpose, said Siegmund the king. If any one this story unto the Rhine should bring, then durst thou never after within that land be seen. Gunther and Gernot, well known to me they long have been. By force, however mighty, no man can win the maid, spake King Siegmund further, to me hath oft been said. But if with knightly escort thither thou wilt ride, good friends, and we have any, shall soon be summoned to thy side. No wish, then answered Siegfried, it ever was of mine, that warrior knights should follow with me unto the Rhine, as if arrayed for battle. 'Twould make my heart full sad, to force in hostile manner to yield to me the stately maid. By my own hand, thus only, trust I to win my bride, with none but 12 in company, to Gunther's land I'll ride. In this, O royal father, thy present help I pray. Grey and white fur raiment had his companions for the way. Siegelind his mother then heard the story too, and grieved she was on hearing what her dear son would do, for she did fear to lose him at hands of Gunther's men. Thereat with heart full heavy began to weep the noble queen. Then came forth Sir Siegfried, where the queen he sought, and to his weeping mother thus gently spake his thought. No tear of grief thou shouldest ever shed for me, for I care not a tittle for all the warriors that be. So help me on my journey to the land of Burgundy, and furnish such apparel for all my knights and me, as warriors of our station might well with honour wear. Then I in turn right truly to thee my gratitude will swear. Since thou wilt not give over, Sieglind then replied, my only son, I'll help thee, as fits thee forth to ride. With the best apparel that riders ever wore, thee and thy companions ye shall of all have goodly store. Then bowed the youthful Siegfried the royal dame before, and said, upon the journey will I take no more, but 12 good knights only, for these rich dress provide, for I would know full gladly how't doth with Kriemhild betide. Then sat at work fair women, by night and eke by day, and rest indeed but little from busy toil had they, until they had made ready the dress Siegfried should wear. Firm bent upon the journey, no other counsel would he hear. His father bade a costly garb for him prepare, that leaving Siegmund's country he the same might wear, for all their glittering breastplates were soon prepared beside, and helmets firmly welded, and shining shields long and wide. Then fast the day grew nearer when they should thence depart. Men and likewise women went sorrowing in heart, if that they should ever see more their native land. With full equipment laden, the sumpter horses there did stand. Their steeds were stately, furnished with trappings rich with gold. It were a task all bootless to seek for knights more bold than were the gallant Siegfried and his chosen band. He longed to take departure straightway for Burgundian land. Leave granted they with sadness, both the king and queen, the which to turn to gladness sought the warrior keen, and spake then, weep ye shall not at all for sake of me, forever free from doubtings, about my safety may ye be. Stern warriors stood there sorrowing, in tears was many a maid. I ween their hearts erred nothing, as sad forebodings said, that mongst their friends so many thereby were doomed to die, good 'cause they had to sorrow at last o'er all their misery. Upon the 7th morning, to Worms upon the strand, did come the keen knights riding. Bright shone many a band of gold from their apparel, and rich equipment then, and gently went their chargers with Siegfried and his chosen men. New made shields they carried, that were both strong and wide, and brightly shone their helmets, as thus to court did ride Siegfried the keen warrior into King Gunther's land. Of knights before was never beheld so richly clad a band. The points of their long scabbards reached down unto the spur, and spear full sharply pointed bore each chosen warrior. The one that Siegfried carried in breadth was 2 good span, and grimly cut its edges when driven by the fearless man. Reins with gold all gleaming held they in the hand, the saddle bands were silken. So came they to the land. On every side the people to gape at them began, and also out to meet them the men that served King Gunther ran. Gallant men, high-hearted, knight and squire too, hastened to receive them, for such respect was due, and bade the guests be welcome unto their master's land. They took from them their chargers, and shields as well from out the hand. Then would they eke the chargers lead forth unto their rest, but straight the doughty Siegfried to them these words addressed: Yet shall ye let our chargers stand the while near by. Soon take we hence our journey, thereon resolved full well am I. If that be known to any, let him not delay, where I your royal master now shall find, to say, Gunther, king so mighty, o'er the land of Burgundy. Then told him one amongst them, to whom was known where that might be. If that the king thou seekest, right soon may he be found, within that wide hall yonder, with his good knights around. But now I saw him sitting. Thither do thou repair, and thou mayst find around him many a stately warrior there. Now also to the monarch were the tidings told, that within his castle were knights arrived full bold, all clad in shining armour, and apparelled gorgeously. But not a man did know them within the land of Burgundy. Thereat the king did wonder, whence were come to him these knights adventure seeking, in dress so bright and trim, and shields adorned so richly, that new and mighty were, that none the thing could tell them, did grieve them sorely to hear. Outspake a knight then straightway, Ortwine by name was he, strong and keen as any, well was he known to be. Since we of them know nothing, bid some one quickly go and fetch my uncle Hagen, to him thou shalt the strangers show. To him are known far kingdoms, and every foreign land, and if he know these strangers, we shall soon understand. The king then sent to fetch him, with his train of men, unto the king's high presence, in stately gear went he then. What were the king's good pleasure? Asked Hagen grim in war. In the court within my castle are warriors from afar, and no one here doth know them, if them thou e'er didst see, in any land far distant, now shalt thou, Hagen, tell to me. That will I do, 'tis certain. To a window then he went, and on the unknown strangers his keen eye he bent. Well pleased him their equipment and the rich dress they wore, yet ne'er had he beheld them in land of Burgundy before. He said that whencesoever these knights come to the Rhine, they bear a royal message or are of princely line. Their steeds are so bedizened, and their apparel rare, no matter whence they journey, high-hearted men in truth they are. Further then spake Hagen, as far as goes my ken, though I the noble Siegfried yet have never seen, yet will I say meseemeth, howe'er the thing may be, this knight who seeks adventure, and yonder stands so proud, is he. 'Tis some new thing he bringeth hither to our land. The valiant Nibelungen fell by the hero's hand. Schilbung and Nibelung, from royal sires sprung. Deeds he wrought most wondrous, anon when his strong arm he swung. As once alone the hero rode without company, found he before a mountain, as hath been told to me, with the horde of Nibelung, full many stalwart men. To him had they been strangers, until he chanced to find them then. The horde of King Nibelung entire did they bear, forth from a mountain hollow, and now the wonder here, how that they would share it. These two Nibelung men, they saw the fearless Siegfried, and filled he was with wonder then. He came so near unto them, that he the knights espied, and they in turn him also. One amongst them said, Here comes the doughty Siegfried, hero of Netherland. Since mongst the Nibelungen strange wonders wrought his mighty hand. Right well did they serve him, Schilbung and Nibelung, and straight they both together, these noble princes young, bade him mete out the treasure, the full valorous man, and so long time besought him, that he at last the task began. As we have heard in story, he saw of gems such store, that they might not be laden on wagons full 50, more still of gold all shining from Nibelungenlied. 'Twas all to be divided between them by keen Siegfried's hand. Then gave they him for hire King Nibelung's sword, and sooth to say, that service brought them but small reward. That for them there performed, Siegfried of dauntless mood, his task he could not finish, thereat they raged as were they would. They had there of their followers 12 warriors keen, and strong they were as giants. What booted giants e'en? Them slew straightway in anger Siegfried's mighty hand, and warriors 700 he felled in Nibelungenland. With the sword full trusty, Balmung that hight, full many a youthful warrior, from terror at the sight of that deadly weapon swung by his mighty hand, did render up his castle, and pledge him fealty in the land. Thereto the king so mighty, them slew he both as well, but into gravest danger through Alberic he fell, who thought for his slain masters vengeance to wreak straightway, until the mighty Siegfried his wrath with strong arm did stay. Nor could prevail against him the dwarf, howe'er he tried, e'en as 2 wild lions they coursed the mountain side, where he the sightless mantle from Alberic soon won. Then Siegfried, knight undaunted, held the treasure for his own. Who then dared join the struggle? All slain around they lay. Then he bade the treasure to draw and bear away thither whence 'twas taken by the Nibelungen men. Alberic for his valor was then appointed chamberlain. An oath he had to swear them, he'd serve him as his slave, to do all kinds of service, his willing pledge he gave. Thus spake of Tronje Hagen, that has the hero done, might as great before him was never in a warrior known. Still know I more about him, that has to me been told, a dragon, worm-like monster, slew once the hero bold. Then in its blood he bathed him, since when his skin hath been so horn hard, ne'er a weapon can pierce it, as hath oft been seen. Let us the brave knight errant receive so courteously, that we in naught shall merit his hate, for strong is he. He is so keen of spirit, he must be treated fair. He has by his own valor done many a deed of prowess rare. The monarch spake in wonder, in sooth thou tellest right. Now see how proudly yonder he stands prepared for fight. He and his thanes together, the hero wondrous keen, to greet him will go thither, and let our fair intent be seen. Then canst thou, outspake Hagen, well in honour do. He is of noble kindred, a high king's son thereto. 'Tis seen in all his bearing, meseems in truth, God wot, the tale is worth the hearing, that this bold knight has hither brought. Then spake the mighty monarch, be he right welcome here. Keen is he and noble, of fame known far and near. So shall he be fair treated in the land of Burgundy. Down went King Gunther, and Siegfried with his men found he. The king and his knights with him received so well the guest, that the hearty greeting did their good will attest. Thereat in turn the stranger in reverence bowed low, that in their welcome to him they did such courtesy bestow. To me it is a wonder, straightway spake the host, from whence, O noble Siegfried, came to our land thou dost, or what here thou seekest at Worms upon the Rhine. Him the stranger answered, put thou away all doubts of thine. I oft have heard the tiding within my sire's domain, how at thy court resided, and know this would I fain. Knights of all the keenest, 'tis often told me so, that e'er a monarch boasted, now come I hither this to know. Thyself have I heard also, high praised for knightly worth, 'tis said a nobler monarch ne'er lived in all the earth. Thus speak of thee the people in all the lands around, nor will I e'er give over, until in this the truth I've found. I too am warrior noble, and born to wear a crown, so would I right gladly that thou of me shouldst own, that I of right am master, o'er people and o'er land. Of this shall now my honour and eke my head as pledges stand. And art thou then so valiant as hath to me been told? I reck not, will he nill he, thy best warrior bold. I'll wrest from thee in combat whatever thou mayst have. Thy lands and all thy castles shall not from change of masters save. The king was seized with wonder, and all his men beside, to see the manner haughty in which the knight replied, that he was fully minded to take from him his land. It chafed his thanes to hear it, who soon in raging mood did stand. How could it be my fortune, Gunther the king outspoke, what my sire long ruled over, in honour for his folk, now to lose so basely through any vaunter's might? In sooth 'twere nobly showing that we too merit name of knight. Nowise will I give over, was the keen reply. If peace through thine own valour thy land cannot enjoy, to me shall all be subject. If heritage of mine through thy arms might thou winnest, of right shall all henceforth be thine. Thy land and all that mine is, at stake shall equal lie. Whiche'er of us be victor when now our strength we try, to him shall all be subject, the folk and eke the land. But Hagen spake against it, and Gernot was quick at hand. Such purpose have we never, Gernot then said, for lands to combat over, that any warrior dead should lie in bloody battle. We've mighty lands and strong, of right they call us master, and better they to none belong. There stood full grim and moody Gernot's friends around, and there as well amongst them was Ortwine to be found. He spake, this mild peacemaking doth grieve me sore at heart, for by the doughty Siegfried attacked all undeserved thou art. If thou and thy two brothers yourselves to help had not, and if a mighty army he too had hither brought, I trow I'd soon be able to make this man so keen, his manner now so haughty, of need replaced by meagre mien. Thereat did rage full sorely the hero of Netherland, never shall be measured 'gainst me in fight thy hand. I am a mighty monarch, thou a king's serving knight, of such as thou a dozen dare not withstand me in the fight. For swords then called in anger of Metz Sir Ortwein, son of Hagen's sister, he was of Tranya's line. That Hagen so long was silent did grieve the king to see. Gernot made peace between them, a gallant knight and keen was he. Spoke he thus to Ortwein, curb now thy wrathful tongue, for here the noble Siegfried hath done us no such wrong. We yet can end the quarrel in peace, such is my rede, and live with him in friendship, that were for us a worthier deed. Then spake the mighty Hagen, sad things do I forebode for all thy train of warriors, that this knight ever rode unto the Rhine thus armed. 'Twere best he stayed at home, for from my masters never to him such wrong as this had come. But out spake Siegfried proudly, whose heart was ne'er dismayed, and please thee not, Sir Hagen, what I now have said. This arm shall give example, whereby thou plain shall see how stern anon its power here in Burgundy will be. Yet that myself will hinder, said then Gernot. All his men forbade he henceforth to say aught with such unbridled spirit to stir the stranger's ire. Then Siegfried eke was mindful of one most stately maid and fair. Such strife would ill befit us, Gernot spake again. For though should die in battle a host of valiant men, 'twould bring us little honour, and ye could profit none. Thereto gave Siegfried answered, good King Siegmund's noble son. Wherefore bides thus grim Hagen, and Ortwein tardy is to begin the combat with all those friends of his, of whom he hath so many, here in Burgundy. Answer him they durst not, for such was Gernot's stern decree. Thou shalt to us be welcome, outspake young Gisela, and all thy brave companions that hither with thee fare. For gladly will attend thee, I and all friends of mine. For the guests then bade they pour out in store of Gunther's wine. Then spake the stately monarch, but ask thou courteously, and all that we call ours stands at thy service free. So with thee our fortune will share in ill and good. Thereat the noble Siegfried a little milder was of mood. Then carefully was tended all their knightly gear, and housed in goodly manner, in sooth the strangers were. All that followed Siegfried, they found a welcome rest. In Burgundy full gladly anon was seen the noble guest. They showed him mickle honour, thereafter many a day, and more by times 1,000 than I to you could say. His might respect did merit, ye may full well know that. Scarce a man e'er saw him who bore him longer any hate. And when they held their pastime, the kings with many a man, then was he ever foremost, whatever they began, none there that was his equal. So mickle was his might, if they the stone were putting, or hurling shaft with rival knight. As is the knightly custom, before the ladies fair, to games they turn for pastime, these knights of metal rare. Then ever saw they gladly the hero of Netherland, but he had fixed his fancy to win one fairest maiden's hand. In all that they were doing he'd take a ready part, a winsome loving maiden he bore within his heart. Him only loved that lady, whose face he ne'er had seen, but she full oft in secret of him spake fairest words, I ween. And when before the castle they sped in tournament, the good knights and squires, oft times the maiden went and gazed down from casement, Kriemhild the princess rare. Pastime there was none other for her that could with this compare. And knew he she was gazing, whom in his heart he bore, he joy enough had found him in jousting evermore. And might he only see her, that can I well believe. On earth through sight none other his eyes could such delight receive. Whene'er with his companions to castle court he went, e'en as do now the people, whene'er on pleasure bent, there stood for all so graceful, Sieglind's noble son, for whom in love did languish the hearts of ladies many a one. Eke thought he full often, how shall it ever be, that I the noble maiden with my own eyes may see, whom I do love so dearly, and have for many a day. To me she is a stranger, which sorely grieves my heart to say. Whene'er the king so mighty rode o'er their broad domain, then of valiant warriors they took a stately train. With them abroad rode Siegfried, which grieved those ladies sore. He too for one fair maiden at heart a mickle burden bore. Thus with his hosts he lingered, 'tis every tittle true, in King Gunther's country, a year completely through, and never once the meanwhile the lovely maid did see, through whom such joy thereafter for him and eke such grief should be.